Hey you, yeah, you see this? This thing right here? Can you beat Elden Ring with only a bow? Let's find out. First, let's go over some ground rules. Damage can only be dealt by bows and bows only. This means no use of damaging consumables such as pots or shards. There will also be no summons allowed. As much as I'd love to use that mimic, he is not joining us for this run. And lastly, use of glitches and exploits are allowed as long as it is not used to skip any of the mandatory bosses and it does not interfere with any of the rules stated before. With all that said, let's get right into it. Now, after picking the Wretch as our starting class and choosing the Lance Between Rune as our starting gift, side note, yes I know, 2 starting classes start with a bow, but I was not aware of that at the time until after the challenge is over. Now, after waking up in a church, picking up an item I'm never going to use, it was time to run to the boss for the best fight anyone's ever seen. Anyway, after that grueling fight was over, it was time for the first real challenge of the run, to find a bow, and I think I know just how to find one. Now, after asking out the waifu, getting rejected then stealing her horse, I made my way to the castle. Did you really think I was gonna fight Margaret without even a bow? Oh, that's just crazy. No, we're coming back for this guy. Anyway, after agreeing to a pity date, the waifu gave me the keys to the round table and told me to be ready by 8. Now in the round table, I run to the Twin Maiden Husk to pick up my savior, the longbow. Well anyway, it's a good thing I picked out the rune as my starting gift. After leveling my dexterity to 14, it was time for me to go pick up my bow. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem right there. So I went about getting all the items I could from Round Table Hold so I could sell them to Master Hugh, and finally, voila, here's our bow. And after all of that, we can finally begin. Well, the bow isn't going to do anything by itself, so we're making a little pit stop to Santa here so we can finally pick up some arrows and maybe do some damage. 15 arrows. This is going to be rough. Hey, that's a decent amount of damage, and a whole whopping 64 runes. So every enemy is going to net me 1 arrow at this rate, looking like it's time to farm. Well, with 21 arrows in my pocket, it's time to head down the catacombs, pull that lever, and attempt my first boss. Actually, it took more time than I would have cared for, but really just dodging his moves and staying at a range, he's a piece of cake. And lo and behold, we killed him on our first try. And now with a whopping 1300 runes, I can go buy more arrows and repeat the process. Now after what felt like an eternity of farming, I decided I want a magical bow. So I went underground down the Siofra River well and decided, hey, check this out. This is a cool bow right here. I'm going to use this. It's magical damage and I'm totally going to use it and not forget about it a quarter through my run. Leveled up my intelligence so I could use this bow, and voila, there's my horn bow. And with a new weapon and confidence at hand, I decided I'm gonna go for him. I'm gonna try to fight the tree sentinel. And oh boy, was it a fight indeed. Through fighting this boss, I started to recognize a pattern with the bosses in the beginning of the game. They seem to be very melee based and very slow. So on horseback, especially with the bow, he was very easy even though it took a very long time to fight him. Although might I say, this little shield block he does right here, screw that. Now, you're going to see more of that as time goes on too, but geez, just blocking the range attacks, oh boy, that hurts. After running back and forth shooting arrows into him for around 15 minutes, with almost no arrows to my name, I finally took him down. He is done for. And while brimming with confidence, I've probably done the stupidest thing I could do in this run. I decided I wanted Santa's bell bearing. I assumed since he was in the very beginning of the game that he wouldn't be that hard to fight, but with a bow, and especially when he's on his donkey, oh my goodness, that was the hardest fight I've ever done. That was so difficult with him just running around zigzagging. I ended up having to free aim the entire time, and it took me probably around 30 minutes to finally get him down. Now with hornbow in hand, I decided it was time to try and fight Margaret. Did I say fight Margaret? I meant let's go kill some more bosses and get some more runes so we can beat this guy up. And so that's what I proceeded to do, just killing low level bosses until I realized this is taking way too long. I completely forgot that farming runes was an option. On my way to go pick up the runes, I decided to stop by this tower and pick up the Arrows Reach Talisman, which does as the name suggests. It increases the range of my bows and crossbows. It will definitely come in handy. Again, on my way to go farm the runes, I decided to go kill the Mariner for D. Really not much to say about him. He's really slow and likes to teleport a lot. So after that exhilarating fight, I told D what I did and he gave me permission to go use his magical portal to the Crimson Waste. Now with all that out of the way, time to go do the good old-fashioned bowling ball farm. And after around an hour of farming with my 20 vigor, 20 dexterity, and my +5 hornbow, it was time to try it again. And believe it or not, he was actually pretty easy this time. I wasn't super over-leveled for him, but still, when you have a range, all he seems to do is throw his daggers at you and jump. That's all he really seems to do, and it's super easy that way. But with him down, next we have to fight Godric. The journey through the castle wasn't anything too special, just running past all the enemies until we could get to Godric's gate. I thought Godric would actually put up quite a challenge considering my first playthrough of the game was absolutely terrible when I was going against him. But no, it turns out he's actually allergic to bows because all he does is flail around like crazy back and forth every single time you shoot him. And if anything, the second phase is even easier because he just blows fire across the map and you can just stay there from afar shooting with arrows. If he gets close, you just run to the other side and wash, rinse, repeat. And with that, we have obtained our first great rune. And after throwing all of our levels into strength, it was time to leave the castle and continue our journey. From here, my job was simple. Get shot by a ballista? Oh yeah, and try to go activate Godric's rune. Luckily, getting to the tower wasn't too hard. Just had to run past some ballistas, bunch of enemies, and then our little giant friends here. But once all that was finished, I finally activate Godric's rune. Next stop, let's go to the academy to pick up our second great rune. But first, I taught the dragon that sharing is caring and took his glintstone key. After reaching the academy, I ran right past all the wizard boys, played with some zombies, ran past some more wizard boys, and then made it to the boss. You know, of any boss in this game, I did not expect the wolf would give me this much trouble. His attacks are so fast and he constantly dodges my arrows. I can't even get normal shots in, let alone my mighty shot. So I decided, what's a boss that just everybody loves and should give me no problems and no hassles at all? If you guessed Radahn, you'd be correct. So in order to start the fight with Radahn, I have to activate the Grand Lift. But on my way, I picked up materials to get my hornbow to level 8, and I took a stop by a yellow Santa here to pick up some poison arrows. With all that out of the way, I head to Fort Faroth to pick up the first half of the coin in order to activate the Grand Lift. On my way to picking up the second half of the coin, I get distracted because I realize I'm missing a talisman. And might I say, this one's super cool. The Arrow Sting Talisman increases my bow damage by 10%. After that, I went to Fort Hate to pick up the second half of the coin. After that, I go to the Grand Lift and offer the big statue man my coin. He tells me to use real money, but agrees to let me use the elevator just this once. Once that's over with, I go back to Redmane Castle for Radahn's birthday party. I talk to all the party guests and decide it's finally time to go. I ask his dad if it's time for Pin the Arrow on the donkey, and he says yes. And with that, I head down the elevator and get ready to fight Radahn. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a terrible idea when I decided I wanted to go fight Radahn. I could not find a way where this is actually going to work out. But it seems we have yet another boss that's allergic to bows, because he would just ignore me the entire fight, and it was actually quite simple. Well, at least until the birthday boy turned into a shooting star and then landed right on top of me. But other than that little hiccup, this boss was a lot easier than I was expecting. I really was expecting to be here for hours and not being able to get him on my second try. The strategy is no different than a normal playthrough. All you do is run around on horseback reviving all your teammates and shooting arrows into them. But he doesn't seem to aggro to you when you just shoot arrows. As long as there's NPCs around, he'll just look at them. So after around 5 minutes of fun birthday shenanigans, he was finally down and we had our second great rune. So after watching the fireworks and picking up Radahn's great bow, which I may or may not ever actually use, it was time to head to the capital. But first, before I go to the capital, I run back to Fort Faroth to pick up Ragaddon's Sword Seal. The Sword Seal is great, increases some of my attributes by 5, but it also makes me take 10 to 20% more damage. But in a run where I'm wearing almost no armor and have no health, I'm trying not to get hit anyways. So after picking that up, I decided to make my way to the outskirts of Lindell. And after making my way through the outskirts of the city, I reached a boss I had actually completely forgotten about, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. He doesn't particularly do a lot of damage or attack too fast, but he has a huge health pool, so it's a lot of dodging around while the poison's just doing its work on him. This is going to become a running theme of bosses now, is that their health pools are just so big that I might not have enough arrows to actually kill them, so I just have to use poison and try to wait it out and not die. But if there's one thing this challenge is good for, it definitely is allowing me to learn these bosses' movesets a lot easier. But with plenty of time and perseverance, I finally took him down. Now, after apologizing to the waifu for missing her date and running her way through the city, I came into contact with the best bow known to man. Of course, I ignore that for now, but look at this cool wizard outfit I found. But yeah, anyway, back to the bow. This is the black bow. A super awesome bow. It's a long bow, but it has a barrage ability, which means it can shoot super fast, just like a short bow. And if there's one thing this bow goes super well with, it's bleed. Now we can really start taking out bosses and chunking down their health. However, the one downside to it is that we have to actually craft our own arrows. So to start getting the crafting materials I'll need for these arrows, I start by going off to the War Master's shack. After killing the super easy boss that spawns there, I get the bell bearing I need. This will allow me to buy beast bones, which are needed in order to craft the blood arrows. Next, I need to pick up feathers, which luckily there's an easy feather farm right outside the starting area. Skipping the blood roses because I already have some in my inventory, I move straight to Godfrey. And oh boy am I embarrassed by how many times I actually died by this boss. Especially because of just how easy this boss really is. All you do is run across the map, shoot him with arrows, doing slam attacks, but once he gets close, you just dodge his slam, run to the other side, wash, rinse, repeat, and there you go. Now after that boss, things are about to start getting extremely difficult. Ah yes, Margaret, somehow back from the dead. Oh boy. I already know this is going to be extremely difficult, but I refuse to put these foolish ambitions to rest. Yeah, remember when I talked about getting back to those blood roses? We're going to Fort Height to farm them up. Now with plenty of blood arrows, the strategy against Margaret is pretty simple. When you first start up against him, you just want to poison him right away as he's slowly walking towards you. Then it just turns into a game of running across the map and spamming your blood arrows against him as he slowly trudges towards you. The only really difficult parts are dodging his spears that he throws at you constantly. Oh, and these little geysers in the ground. I didn't even know they could actually kill you until I found out the hard way. But after a long while of poisoning him and bleeding him out, he was finally done. See? Who's the foul tarnished now, Margaret? After trying to penetrate the impenetrable, I decided to cry and go home. Then I met up with the waifu, who said she'd actually go on a date with me if I went to the Snowy Mountains for her. So here we are in the Snowy Mountains by means of magical teleportation, and totally not because I lost the footage of me getting here. Saying that, now it's time to fight a boss that I've been dreading since I started this run. I had a feeling the fire giant might be easy, considering I might get range on him, but I have no idea if I'll be able to knock him out or not. All I can say is it will definitely be a super fair fight where he's not killing me in one shot or anything. Completely fair fight. I can't wait to fight him again and again, but...
Wait a minute!
On my second run, I decided to run on top of this little mountain here for no exact reason at all. And I decided I'll hop off and go check out that gray spot again. I wonder what was over there. Actually, maybe I should go check out our little giant buddy real quick and just see how he's doing. Seems like he's doing pretty good. Might as well say hi with some arrows. My oh my, what weird circumstances have brought us here. But what's even weirder is after being summoned back in the arena, who would have thunk it? It happened again. So anyway, after that happened, I finally got the date with the waifu. I even got to hold her hand. Then she, caught on fire, I guess. All that lady killing aside, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. So then I randomly woke up in a floating city and decided to go to my favorite boss of all time. It's Ornstein and oh god, it's the Godskin duo. What can I say other than screw this boss? Seriously, I have no idea how many times I actually died fighting this boss. And yes, I did the sleep arrow trick, but it did not work because you're supposed to kill one while the other one's sleeping. I don't have enough damage with this bow in order to actually kill one while one's asleep. To make a long story short, I died a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. So anyway, putting a pause on that for now, I went to go get materials to get my black bow to +10. And luckily the +8 and +9 stones were basically right next to each other in Caelid. Now to get to +10, that's a whole different story. So to start my journey, I talked to Mr. White Mask here in the middle of the lake. Then he gave me a bag of fingers and told me to go make some friends. Huh. I guess a bag of bloody fingers isn't really that good for making friends after all. That's okay, because when I told White Mask, he said, he'll be my friend. Then he told me, hey, if you really want to be my friend, you'll go get the blood of a maiden for me. And that's exactly what I did. I ran up a mountain to get the imbued sword key, went through a magical portal, and went to say hello to an old friend. Really not too much to say about the Grafted Scion. He's pretty easy, all you have to do is keep a range. Sometimes he jumps at you, but it's really not a big deal. But with him dead, I run up the stairs and pick up the blood of a maiden. After that, I return to White Mask and he says we can be best friends. And then he gives me a special friendship bracelet.
But you mustn't use it just yet. The meeting must wait until the Mogwin dynasty commences.
Oops, my hand slipped. Anyway, after reaching Mogwin's palace, I ran past some zombies, ran through some caves, hit a grace spot, interrupted some weird ceremony, and picked up the item I need. Then I decided, hey, since I'm here, I might as well farm for a while and level up, right? So I proceeded to farm. A lot. Now, nice and leveled up, it was time to try it again. This time, it wasn't nearly as bad because I actually had a bit of damage on my side. This time I decided to try something different. I used sleep arrows as normal on the big guy, but I wouldn't try to kill the skinny guy afterwards because he would just keep dodging all my arrows. I would just throw all my bleed and poison arrows straight into the big guy while he's sleeping and then make him sleep again. Then it's just wash, rinse, repeat, and they are dead. Now it's time to go to yet another amazing boss. Getting through the city wasn't a problem at all, just running past all the enemies, and then sneaking past Big Horsey Man here to the boss. Malekith, or should I say the Beast Clergyman, was going to be a massive roadblock for me. His attacks just do so much damage, and after 20 plus tries of just trying to get him even to his second phase, I knew I had to go level up, pick up some armor, and do anything I could because I am massively underleveled for this boss right now. The first step is to grab a new bow. So I go behind the volcano to this little shack here and pick up the pulley crossbow. The pulley crossbow is great because it shoots 3 shots at a time, but the downside being it has 0 scaling, so this isn't going to do much damage for long. Then I proceeded to farm for quite a while to get myself to a decent level in order to fight the boss. Then I went to the Snowy Mountains to jump off a cliff and pick up some decent armor. Now at level 110 and having upgraded my pulley crossbow to +10, I'm ready to do this. During his first phase, it's actually super easy because he only loops the same 3 moves over and over and over again. And even his second phase, I used to think it was super scary and terrifying with how fast he was, but in reality, you only have to dodge like twice for any of his moves. And I'm not sure if bows just aren't meant to be used in this way, but all bosses seem to just loop the same moves whenever you use a range, and it's super easy to just predict what they're gonna do and dodge out of the way in time. With that said, he's dead. Now after stealing his Rune of Death, it is time for the final stretch of the game. After yet again waking up in a destroyed city, I decided to go to the Erd Tree and become Elden Lord. Ah yes, Gideon. Can you even consider this guy a boss? Because seriously, every single time I've gone against him, I've killed him on my first try. This gave me the most trouble fighting him, but either way, it was still on my first try. His magic is just so predictable and easy to get around. And with Gideon down, it was time for a real boss. Oh wow, would you look at that? Yet another boss brought back from the dead. Godfrey is really just a test of attrition. It's really just about poisoning him and running around and seeing how long it could last until he gets to his second phase.
The strongest force in the universe is not Hulkamania. The strongest force in the after this you can sit down. It's you wrestling fans.
Yep, that's right. It's time to fight Hulk Hogan, and he's not happy. All in all, I could tell this fight was gonna be a doozy. With him constantly trying to suplex me into the next century, I knew this was going to be absolutely terrible. I really just had to figure out how am I going to deal with this. Well, after hours of banging my head against the wall, I think I figured it out. Well, his first phase actually turned out to be just like the Shade version, to where if you run across the map and just shoot arrows, he'll keep using the same exact move running towards you, and you just run to the other side and keep doing it. But when he goes all WrestleMania on you, that's when it starts to get difficult. You just really have to run around and wait for him to do his jump attack so that you have an opportunity to actually shoot him. And that's just baiting that out over and over and over again. So with the strategy and persistence, we have killed him. Now, that leaves us with only one boss left to take down. It was time to touch that golden light, enter the Erd Tree, and do the final encounter. And for this boss, do you want the long or short version? The version where I spent a week stuck on this boss, not sure how to even get past Ragaddon? Or this version? Yeah, I spent a week on this boss, just trying to kill him, but then I see a video at 3 in the morning as I'm in bed, and it says, hey, did you know if you just walk up to him, you can just shoot him with a bow, and he dies? I genuinely did not know whether to be relieved or mad that the solution was this simple. With that being said, the Elden Beast was actually super easy. Another boss that just seems to loop the same exact attacks over and over. I actually killed him on my first try. He rarely ever teleports away if you're shooting him at a range. He just spams his sword attack and his space dust attack, and that's really it. I genuinely just use a bow in my normal runs against the Elden Beast after seeing how easy he was with this. The one thing I will give this boss though, is that his health pool and resistance is so high that he took absolutely forever and I almost had no arrows left. Well, with the Elden Beast down, I guess that answers the question. Can you beat Elden Ring using only a bow? Yes. Yes, you can. Now, would I recommend anybody to do this? Yeah. If you want a fun little challenge, it's definitely a different feeling than doing a normal playthrough. When you handicap yourself, it makes killing those bosses feel even better. As stressful as it could have been at times, this experience was so much fun, and I absolutely loved making this video. It was so much fun. I just can't emphasize how great this was. I do have to say, in the making of this video, somebody did beat me to the punch and get a bows only run, so I just want to give a quick little shout out to Ty Taylor. Great job on the video, dude. Congrats on being first. I'll definitely leave a link in the description below to his video so you guys can go check out his. And if you're watching this far, thank you so much. I know this is a new type of video for my channel, but I had such a blast and would absolutely love to keep making these videos. And if you ever want to say hello, I have a link to our community Discord down below. With all of that being said, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and see ya.